Hey everybody, thanks for tuning back in. My name is Richard Rett, founder and CEO of Sierra Madre. If you're just now joining us, we're doing a series on cold weather camping and some tips and tricks to think about and even some mistakes to avoid when you're going out into the wild and it's cold. So if you're just joining us, make sure you go back and see video 1 and video 2. Video 1, we talk about some basics that you'll want to consider when you're thinking about calories, intake, and base layering. Number 2 talks about the mistakes that people generally make. And today, we're going to talk about a few hacks that you can use to help you enjoy the wild more and stay warmer, right? It's all about staying warm when you're camping in the wild. There's only so much your body can do. There's only so much insulation you can bring. Sooner or later, you're going to have to introduce more heat into the equation. So come on over, let's talk about a few options that you've got. Obviously, the most ancient one that exists is using wood and starting a fire, right? So if you get incredibly cold and it gets right down to it, starting a fire, getting out of your sleeping bag, though that's pretty miserable, starting a fire is going to help you warm up. Here's a few other options that we use or we have used to help introduce some more heat into our thermal equation. First, you can boil water, use your stove, heat up water, boil it, and put it into your Nalgene or a similar container, and that is going to hold heat and actually be a pretty good bit of mass that is really warm. You can stick that in your sleeping bag, you can hold it, you can put it around one of your arteries down in your leg or up in your neck. A few things to make sure of when you're doing this though. You'll always want to use 2 containers when you're on your trip. You don't really want to drink the water that you put into your Nalgene when it's boiling. So you would want to have a separate Nalgene for drinking water and then a Nalgene for using for heat. You could also technically pee in a bottle. You'll definitely want to make sure that you've got that very clearly labeled. But that is coming out at 98.6 degrees and it is going to be pretty warm. So one option is putting hot water into a Nalgene and using that to heat up your bag and then keeping it close to your body to add heat to your equation. Now, another downside is be very careful about the lids. If it leaks out and you get wet or your sleeping bag gets wet, you could be in serious trouble. See video number 2 when we talk about insulation to know why that could be a big issue. Another option is to use a chemical pack. Now, chemical packs, you can see these are hand warmers basically, and you open them up. They've got a plastic bag that they come in and they're one-time use deals. You open them up and you shake them up, you introduce air into the chemicals, the 2 chemicals there, and as soon as they hit air, they'll start a chemical reaction and they actually start warming up. I can feel these are warm. They're not going to be a huge plus. Now it'll be a little relief if you're really cold, but they are pretty small, so I think you can get a little bit bigger ones, but that's an option, chemical warmers. Another thing that I can honestly say I've never had to use is heating up a rock when you're at your campsite with the fire and then putting that into your sleeping bag. Now, you got to be pretty desperate, I'll admit, and you'll definitely want a smoother stone or rock to use. But keep in mind, it's going to be really hot when you pick it up. You're going to have to deal with a mess. But hey, if you're super desperate, I guess it's one option that you could use, heating up a rock in a campfire and then putting it into your sleeping bag to help you warm up. I can honestly say I've never had to personally use that, but it's there, it's an option. Okay, so now we've gone over a few options that we found that introduce heat back into your equation. Now, honestly, they've all got a bit of a downside. Some of them might leak, some of them use chemicals. Let's face it, nobody really wants to sleep with a rock. And these options all share something else in common. They're going to run out of heat eventually. It's just going to happen. You're probably going to have some heat in the beginning of the night, but let's face it, when 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. gets there, you're gonna be cold again and you're gonna have to figure something new out. Nobody wants to get out of their sleeping bag. And so knowing that and knowing that I have faced this challenge, I'm sure that you have as well. So Sierra Madre has created a new product and I am super excited about it. It's called the Hot Pocket. The Hot Pocket is an insulated compression bag that you can actually store and compress your insulation with, but then preheat your insulation. So you can see it's got a switch right here, and just with the push of a button, I can turn that on and I can engage a radiant heat panel here and here that warms up my sleeping bag, which is phenomenal because one of the things that I hate is getting into a cold sleeping bag. If you've ever been camping and you crawl into your cold nylon, it takes you a while to heat that whole thing up. The great thing about the Hot Pocket is it completely changes that. As soon as you get in, you can have a warm sleeping bag to get into thanks to the Hot Pocket. Let me go over a little bit more about it. So not only will it compress your insulation, but once you're done and you're setting up camp and you're ready to get into your insulation, you take it out, you can actually open the Hot Pocket completely. And it's going to provide quite a bit of coverage and actually warm you up. You just press that button at any point during the night and you're going to have a heat panel here and a heat panel here, and it's going to provide instant heat wherever you want it. Now that's great because when I'm cold at 2 a.m., this is what I'm going to grab. Push that button. I don't have to get out of my sleeping bag. I don't have to heat up water. I don't have to go start a fire. I'm just going to push this button and go right back to sleep. Now, here's the deal. We're launching this Hot Pocket on Kickstarter tonight, right? Tonight, we are launching the Hot Pocket at midnight. As you know, if you've been with us for any length of time, we always launch our Kickstarters at midnight. And so tonight at midnight, you're gonna have an opportunity to jump on board and grab the Hot Pocket for the first time ever. It's a brand new idea that we're gonna bring to life on Kickstarter. We are crazy excited about it. If you join us during the first 24 hours of the campaign, you're actually gonna get an incredible deal, what we call the super early bird special. And it's almost 50% off of the normal retail of any size Hot Pocket. The Hot Pocket's gonna come in 3 different sizes: small, medium, and large. And you're gonna be able to vary that depending on the amount of insulation that you're taking on your trip. So, all that to say, look, we're stoked. We want you to go and check it out tonight at midnight. We're gonna send out a link. Check out the Hot Pocket on Kickstarter live. 24 hours, you're gonna be able to get it for 50% off retail value. Okay, so tomorrow we're gonna talk about more details of the Hot Pocket and everything there is to know about Kickstarter and why we're launching on Kickstarter. So come back, stay tuned. I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. If you have questions or comments or tell me what you think about the Hot Pocket, leave them below and we'll be sure to answer those in the next video. Talk to you soon.